Hello, people. We are back for A2TP, the podcast. Back for another episode. And this is episode 105. It's your boy, International Walk.
It's your girl, Tash, the co-hostess with the mostest.
And we are back to entertain y'all for another week.
I feel like I said that like a sexy
like
news
a
reporter.
different voice.
Like the
But we are
with
back with y'all. Friendly Faces, A2TP, episode 105. A2TP.com, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Radio, Public, TikTok, Breaker, Spotify. All the platforms you can catch us on.
And just to confirm, it's spelled out to Act to the podcast.
Yes, it is. It's spelled out. But this is the 105th episode. You should know that by now.
But then we might have a new viewer.
That's true. How are you?
I'm doing good. Doing good today. Mentally, I'm a 9. I feel good. I feel awakened.
Like a premonition of some sort?
No, just more awareness. I think of self, of life. Not saying like I know it all. I'm not aware of everything, of course, but just a little more than I had last week, or even a little more than I may have had yesterday. So mentally, I'm a 9.
Okay.
Being intentional, as I stated that I would be, making some efforts for myself, and you feel good when you don't disappoint yourself. So yeah, finances, I am a 10. No qualms there. Yeah, that's good.
Work
is an 8. I'm gonna give work an 8. No, work is an 8, and physically I'm an 8. So.
Physically an 8.
Yeah.
So that's a 9, 10, 8, 8.
Yeah, I think I'm doing pretty good across the board.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I guess you average it out. It's like a B plus, right?
I don't know. It'll probably be a B, not a B plus, because you got 2 8s.
But then you got the 10 to pull it up some.
But it's 110.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about an average of 4, it would be around an 8.
I feel like a B plus though.
You can have a B plus. You can have an 8.5. You can have whatever you want. I ain't here to take nothing from you.
I feel like an 88.
You can have it.
Okay, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. Mentally, I would say I am a 8. So I'll put myself down for 8 on that one. Bam, bam. Finances, I would say a 9. So I'll put myself down for Nueve there. Work, I would say, is a solid 8. Because, it's the beginning of the year and all that stuff, and just got back from Christmas vacation. But I want another one. And, work is work, but I give it a solid 8. Physically, I feel great. Physically, I feel great. Where was I at mentally? 8. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with an 8. So physically, I feel great. So I am 8, 9, 8, 8.
Do you feel better at? And this is in terms to work, since you are a on-site worker, unlike myself. Do you feel better going to work at nicer weather? Like, does the weather impact how you feel about work?
Not necessarily all weather. I mean, if you ask me just the weather outright, yeah, because rain sucks. But if it's just cold or it's cloudy or snow, that shit really don't change my mood. Rain changes my mood. But so if it's on the other side, if it's like a sunny, bright day, not hot, because I know you don't like it real hot. A sunny, bright day, does that kind of like boost your spirits? Yeah.
Because I remember me going to the office, it would. But even working from home, when you wake up and it's that kind of day, you kind of feel differently. Yeah.
When the sun it beams in your window and the sun's out there like that, yeah, it does feel different. It's even before it hits you, it feels It feels rejuvenating. That word didn't want to come out.
Wait, we forgot to tell everybody.
What?
We have a guest on the show today.
Who's the guest?
Say hello to Beyonce.
Oh man, come on!
She joined us for this episode.
Wows and woes.
My wow.
Ups, downs, black, white, stop, goes, wows and woes.
My wow is just that my PTO bank got replenished because it's a new year.
I see Charlamagne had put up a post saying, a man dancing on a boat, like a cartoon man dancing on a boat, saying, "This what it feels like to take PTO in the first week of the new year," because he didn't come back until the 9th. So he was like, "That's what it feels like."
Yeah, and I'm trying to plan strategically. You know, my girl Nanette, shout out to Nanette. She was showing me like she got a whole spreadsheet where she got the formulas built in. Like this is her total hours. She planned it out for her family, like birthdays. This is the anniversary, and then now of course you may not stick to all that, but that's the plan. I want to be more organized like that, you know, because I know I have PTO. I can request PTO. You don't. Your time isn't as stringent, meaning you don't have to like make no month ahead request or anything. But you taking off is contingent on your project status.
Yeah.
So you know that. So those are the factors that we have to consider. But that's my wild. Just PTO replenishment. I'm excited about that.
Okay. What's your woe?
You know, I'm not gonna even try to force it because I can't think of anything immediate. I don't have a woe. You know, I'm feeling I'm feeling a lot of things, you know, going on. Not bad, not good, just, you know, sorting life out. But I feel good. Like I'm feeling moving towards the upside, which is a blessing. So I'm not gonna if I will say anything is a woe, just knowing what you're going through in terms of grieving. And I don't want to take you in that space, so I don't want to like go too deep into that, but just caring about you and seeing you have a struggle, that would definitely be a woe for me. Mm-hmm. I can't cut that off when I see you having a hard time. I try to, you know, give you that space, but I care too much, and so that would be my woe. What about you?
My woe is that I went to the cemetery to see my nana. And I'm not going to talk about this too long, but that was just a wow for me because I needed to talk to her. I needed to be around her. I needed to breathe around her. And it was cathartic. And yeah, that was my wow. Also ties into my woe because, you know, it's heavy. It's not like a easy thing to do. Maybe for some people, but not for me. And that's tied into my wow and my woe.
I'm proud of you. You know, I know it's been some time coming, so I know you don't want to stay there. But I'm just proud of you, and I'm here for you along your journey to be there to support you in whatever way is necessary. Mm-hmm. Beyonce, do you have any wows or woes today? Mm-mm. She says she's just going to observe. She'll chime in when she hears it.
We're going to talk about Black people and Black power in our culture and in our workplace. And why Black people feel like when they get in a position of power, it's not always good. And I don't mean that in a way like you shouldn't be in power, but maybe you don't handle your power and authority very well. So why do you think it's prevalent when Black people are in a position of power, they misuse or abuse it?
So I just want to preface before I respond by saying this. I don't want to give the impression that like we that we speak down on our people, or, you know what I mean, but we speak from our experiences and what we're exposed to, conversations we may hear. So, you know, not that we care what y'all think, but we do want y'all to participate. And if y'all don't like it, let us know that too. But I just wanted to kind of give that caveat because I know we talked about Black, what was it about believing Black women, and just wanted to kind of say that like I don't want people to have the perception like again Black people. We're not downing Black people. We love us. We wouldn't want to be anything else other than Black. But just speaking from our experiences, I think one of the things that is a sad part of society, current American society, and also is a part of our Black American history, is that unfortunately we haven't had as much power as others throughout history. Mm-hmm. We haven't had as many opportunities, and also in our lineage, and of course this is not an all or nothing kind of thing, so I'm sure there's some exemptions from this, but we haven't had those examples shown to us. Like we saw a show the other night where like these white guys were having an argument about whose family was the richest. And it was like, well, your dad is richer than mine. No, he's not. And it's like, well, your grandpa owns this. And that was just an indicator to show the generations of wealth, of power, of some sort of status, however big or small, but some sort of status that has been passed down through their lineage, which in current day society, a lot of times we, and I'm including myself, us 30, 40 somethings, our first generation leaders. A lot of times our grandparents and maybe even some of our parents, they got a good job at the water company, electric company, Bell Atlantic, wherever it may be. Your uncle used to work for sanitation, SEPTA, and they got a good job. They stayed there. They wrote it out.
Pico.
And of course, there were some bosses that, somebody had to be the supervisor. So some people rose to the top. But a lot of people just kind of was like, I got this job. I'm good. I'm staying where I am. So again, we haven't had those examples. And a lot of times also we are in situations where either we don't have people to go to for guidance, leadership, mentorship, or we just don't want to go to them, or they are an example of what you're talking about. So it's hard to ask the black lady who you work with, who has been a supervisor for 25 years, but she got a nasty attitude. So we kind of learn as we go. And unfortunately, there may be some bumps and bruises where that as people are learning how to be a leader, they just may not always do it right.
So is everybody learning, or does people just get in positions of authority and do fuck shit? Like, because, like, let's say, a person is in a position, like, I think it stems from that which you talked about, but also conditioning, like us not having anything as black people, and then being conditioned to be like this every man for himself type of mentality.
Crab in the barrel mentality.
Yeah, and we all know that we have in a culture, it's like nobody wants to share information. Everybody wants to get in a position, but few people share the information on how they got there. And then once you get there, because of the lack of power in family and in wealth and things like that, you're the first to have it. So you don't want to lose it. So, and I also think it's tied into we know us. Like black people know black people, and there's some black people that should be in leadership and roles and have authority over others, and there's some people who shouldn't. Like just because their character is not meant for them to lead, or they're not alpha people. Some people should not be leaders. Like you can have weak leaders. You can have people put in a position where they get frustrated with not knowing how to do the job, and that's how they're bad leaders. Some people are just bad leaders, but it's a plethora of reasons why a person can get in a situation. Like have you ever had anybody do anything nasty to you that was of color, that was above you?
I did. I had a horrible manager at one time. And now I will say this. I've had mostly black leaders, I'm thinking, or maybe I've had a lot. The good definitely outweigh the bad. But the bad experiences, unfortunately...
the ones you don't forget.
And they've been, unfortunately, with black women specifically, where... Like you said, some things are a matter of conditioning. Some people just won't change. And organizations in corporate America, unless you do something very egregious, like stealing, releasing information that you like, something
physical altercation.
Of course, like, but just minor conflicts and things like that, personality challenges. It's hard to fire people for those kind of things that aren't tangible actions that they've done. You can be a bad leader for a really long time. So
in the corporate world.
Yeah, in the corporate world. So with that being said, now your growth might be stagnated, but if you're a really bad leader, but you're producing, you could grow in that corporate world too. So, it's a weird dynamic. But what I will say, I don't think everybody is growing or learning, as you asked. I do think some people, recently I I am one of those people who I'm always going to reach back to help the next one. Specifically if they're black. Not to say I don't think white people are qualified, but if I know it's a black girl and I have the choice and I feel that she's better qualified or equally, now I'm not in a position to hire anyone, but I'm going to give my feedback, my opinion to help that person grow if I feel that they are deserving.
That's conditions, though. You just like it. You made it sound like it was like I'm gonna reach back for somebody who's black, but condition on their head on straight. They in a position to do the job that I need them to do. Not just, I just want to be specific in that. Like,
I'm not one to say
just because you black
exactly
and you underqualified, but you black, I want to give you an opportunity because I could be setting myself up for failure.
It's still business. It's not personal.
Yeah.
Now, but when I say reach back, once I know that person is in that position, hey, how's things going? Do you need any help? If you have any questions, feel free to reach out if I can help you in any way. Or, if I see they're doing something or send an email a certain way, I may respond and say, thank you for the information for future reference. Let's be sure to just help and lead and guide without overstepping, of course, but just to let them know that you have that support. Because like you said, not everyone does that. Not everyone wants to share information. Somebody helped me get to where I was. It was a black woman when I was a call center rep who I was at a higher level, like a senior rep, but it was a black woman who had a supervisor on her team that was going out on maternity leave, who asked for me to stand in as an interim supervisor. She could have asked any other body. She could have split those people up from that woman's team to her other 3 or 4 supervisors and not had any coverage. But she reached back for me, giving me that experience would led to that exposure. So I'm always going to allow someone to have the opportunity to grow if they show that they have the potential, the desire, and will to do so. Because like you said, not everybody can be a leader. Some people are great workers, and it's fine. You need people to do the job. We can't all be the boss.
Yeah.
So some people are really great workers. And some people don't always have the desire to be a leader. They have the desire for more money without knowing what comes with leadership. And that's the worst kind of leader that has that mentality, like I'm just here so I won't get fined.
In reference to what you were saying in the beginning of your statement, where in the corporate world, you got to build like a file so you can get fired. There's a lot you can do. In my profession in construction, it's the total opposite. Like if you're not producing within a day or a week, you can be fired. Like you can be just let go. And, being as though the company is in Pennsylvania, you don't have to give a reason.
It's an at-will state.
Yeah, so it's like you just ain't working out, you're not panning out, and you don't get a call back. But, when people like misuse power, in my profession, I work for an all-white construction company, and I'm the only black supervisor there. And I have been for 22 years. And I've never worked under anybody who was black. When I first started, I worked under a lot of white guys. And some would probably say when I first started, if you define what misuse and abuse is, like I can admit that when I first started, I wanted it so bad that I was like a tyrant.
So what you mean when you first started as a supervisor?
Yes, like I was a tyrant. I didn't want to screw up. I didn't want to fuck up. I had like $3 million projects on the table that I didn't want to screw up. And it was a lot of pressure, more pressure than I anticipated, but I wanted it. And I wanted it so bad that, I'm sure you can ask some people where it was like, in this situation, he may have been a little bit impatient or a little bit boisterous or demonstrative. And if you define that as abuse and misuse, then yeah, I probably have done that too. Or if you ask that employee, they may say, yeah, I felt abused because he was demonstrative and telling me what he wanted out of me, or he made me take down something that I built because I wasted time. Like anything like that, they can define that as, yeah, I felt a little bit abused.
So I think too.
But I can admit that I was a tyrant in a sense of I wanted my jobs to be a certain way. They had to be on time. I had to work with people who work like I did. And if you didn't, you couldn't be next to me. Now I'm a little bit more reserved, but I used to be that way.
So I think one of the things to be mindful of is that we're talking about two different cultures. The blue collar work, the I don't even want to the manual labor work versus the white collar corporate America. So with that being said, what helped you turn the corner to? Because I know I know you're not like that anymore. What helped you turn the corner to change or I won't even say change, to adapt your leadership style to be more palatable?
Life, like my personal life had changed outside of my work life, but my reputation, knowing my reputation, I didn't like it. Yeah, like I used to, like people used to talk about me that never met me. That's how much of a reputation that I had.
Right.
So it would be like Tony and Dave said, you know, you kick people off your jobs and you hard to work with. And I'm like, who is Tony and Dave? Oh, these two guys that got hired and got fired. Like, I never met them. But just the air of that in the air had two people that never even met me just putting this out there. And that kind of like rubbed me the wrong way. Like, of course, I don't give a shit what people think. Like, really don't care what people think. But it was like I cared what I thought. And it was like, damn, I don't like the fact that people think I'm some asshole and, you know, I'm hard to work with, because I don't. And I have people around who vouch and say all he care about is the work getting done. So it ain't personal. But if you don't work, you can't be there. So it was like I got tired of hearing my own reputation. And not that it was like, this guy's an asshole or he's a dickhead. It was just like, he's a bit much.
I think, you know, being a leader there's such a fine line, because one of the things that I stand by is it's business. It's not personal. If I don't care how many, you know, oh, y'all want, well, I mean, this was being in the office, you know, y'all want to, if somebody asks, hey, y'all want to order lunch together or whatever, how many funny conversations we might have talking about the weekend. Your job is your job. And if you got to be written up, you're going to be written up. If you have to be reprimanded. And the reason why I say it's a fine line is because you do have to care about people, but not to the extent it's like it's not business, it's not personal, it's business, but it's business because it is personal. Personal meaning for me, this is my job and I can't risk my job because of other people. So I need you to handle the business.
But I don't think you need to care though.
I think you need to care about people to a certain extent of like, okay, just using that as an example, we know that, you know, you had a situation where one of your workers was injured really badly. So I would imagine during that time, his productivity may not have been at the level that it was prior to his injury.
Of course.
So you have to care about him as a person. Now, some people might have the mindset like, well, if you showed up at work, the expectation is that you're going to work. If you can't do the job, then you need to call out and be home. That's not caring about people. Caring about people is, to me, would be, okay, I realize that your productivity we may have to adapt during this healing period where instead of giving you X job, I'm gonna give you Y job where I know you can be productive in doing this, even though you would typically do this.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you can care up to that point.
Yeah, but I don't mean care about, now, you know, if you know somebody's grieving.
That's different, because you would have to care about them on that level to care about, like, you would be sorry that something happened to somebody, but I don't think if you didn't like somebody and you heard that somebody died in their family that you all of a sudden gonna go up to them and be like, I'm sorry.
But no,
so I'm not saying you care like that, but I get what you're saying, where it's like, I care enough to know you're injured and I shouldn't expect you to do the job that you did yesterday. So I get caring like that, but I just think you more so have to manage people. You got in my world, you got 5, 6, 8 guys on the job. That's 5, 6, 8 different times they might come in, 5, 6, 8 different sets of problems, excuses, and you got to be able to manage that. And you, this person you might can't talk to the way you talk to this person. Like, so that's the management part I'm talking about. And that doesn't necessarily need a level of care.
Well, so, and again, when I say care about people, I don't mean love them or like be calling to check on them. Like I remember I had a situation when I did have a team that I led where one of the girls, one of the women, her father had cancer, was having like some serious surgery. She still was at work, but it was like, she was a little emotional, wasn't really able to concentrate. So for me, I'm like, okay, how about this? I'm gonna put you on a different task where you don't have to be on the phone, you don't have to talk to people. You can kind of be available if you get a phone call or have to step out for a second, or or it might be a different situation where somebody is going through something. And it's like, you know what? Now, I'm not saying going through anything. I'm talking about really serious things that you understand from a human perspective would affect somebody.
Right.
You know what? You got a 12 o'clock lunch. How about this? If you don't take your lunch today, just leave at 4. You can pick your kids up because something, and again, you do have to manage people because people will take advantage of it.
Exactly.
So I think that's where I say it's a fine line, because you want to care about people, because if they know you care about them, then they'll care about doing the job. But you do have to keep it business so that they don't take advantage. I had a girl who I will never forget. She was going through some female problems, and I've always been the type of person, like, not even just as a leader. If I'm calling out, I'm calling out. I'm not going to be in today. I don't need to give no reason. Nobody else has to give a reason. She wanted to tell me about how bad her cycle was, and then like, I
Too
don't
much
need
information,
to. Yes.
yeah.
So people, you're right where that you don't want to like make them feel like.
If people know you care like that, then that's the stories you'll get.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about when I say the excuses. When they know, oh damn, my boss care like that, we got a type of relationship to a certain level, then that's when they weigh the heavy shit.
That happened
that's
one
when
time.
They weigh the stuff on you,
Yeah.
and it's like, damn, like you almost expect me not to do my job in spite of our friendship, and it's like I can't do that.
And I think that's one of the qualities that has made me a good. Well, I know that I have been a great leader is because I've been able to be relatable to people and to care, but to keep that line, like, we not friends. I understand you may be going through something. Do you need time off? I would rather you take time off and you not be here rather than to be here and not do your job. So let's figure out what works best for you, because the job still needs to get done.
That's how it is in the construction world, where it's not necessarily you get put on a lighter task. My style of letting somebody have their space is just go home. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't have to be here. Now, if you say like, I had people say like, yo, like I need my money, then it's like, okay, now we can think about what task we can put you on, or maybe you want to work by yourself or something like that.
One of the things too I wanted to mention when you talked about corporate America and not them keeping a file on people before they let go, we live in such a litigious society. It's unfortunate that companies have to do that because people be looking to sue for anything.
Yeah, but how many normal folk are if you're a girl in a call center and you fucking up calling out every Monday and doing dumb shit and going to the bathroom for 45 minutes and they fire you, what lawyer you getting to sue? What right you got to stand on?
If you say I was sick, or my child was sick, I had to check on them.
Is there any record of that? Is there a record that you told the company you were sick?
Or
did you go through the proper channels?
But that's the thing. They wanted me to reveal my like they're HIPAA. They don't have to reveal their health. So that's where companies, they have that. They got to kind of walk on eggshells and make sure they cover themselves. And then also you talk about unemployment. If somebody quits, they can't get unemployment.
Right.
So they'll
be fired.
Yeah. So that's why,
Like I was being honest, do you think like in that aspect of the way I was speaking, do you think somebody could say Natasha was a bad? And also you shouldn't say that like yourself. I know I'm a great leader. The people you lead should say you're a great leader.
Well, I know.
I'm just saying.
You know what? I think that. Okay.
Could somebody say like, the way she talked to me, or the way this was delivered to me, or the way she didn't deal with me, I felt a little some type of way.
So I think early on in my career, I don't have a good, I can't be phony, like with anybody in my professional or personal life. If I'm not feeling you, like, you're going to know I don't have much rap, I don't have anything to say. And I think early on, there probably are some people who probably saw like, well, damn, like, she might bust it up and be laughing with such and such. And when I come to her desk, it's like, all serious. What's up?
You-
How can I help you?
Right.
What do you need? Like
Because if you don't need them, you move on.
So yeah, or like yeah,
I do that at work. If I'm talking to like Danny or somebody, and somebody walk up, I'll be like, "Yo, what's up? What you need?"
Yeah.
Like, because if you don't need nothing, we're having a conversation. Like, move the fuck on.
Yeah, and they you know they want the chit chat and the camaraderie, and so but what I had to learn was, you know what, I had to kind of pull back from everybody to kind of keep. Now I'm not going to change who I am. I'm going to have a good day. I'm not going to be fake Mrs. Serious all day, but I had to be have more of a poker face so that they wouldn't feel those vibes. So I think if anything, that's probably something that somebody could say, you know. And I'm always, and people do compliment me on that. Like when they talk to me, they're like, you keep it real. Like I talk to them like I'm talking to y'all. Of course, I mean I don't use profanity that much anyway, and I don't use slang and stuff like that. But when you hear me like on calls and meetings, like I don't have a corporate voice anymore. I used to early in my career.
Yes.
But I talk to them like I'm talking.
You had a phone voice. I don't know about corporate, but it was a phone voice.
Yeah, I don't talk like so. I try to be very relatable. But I think again early on, I remember having a team member, and she was an older lady, so I guess I kind of feel bad. Like I'm talking about, she might be 70, but she would get smart and like, who you talking to? Like,
well, she's 70. Old people don't give a fuck.
Yeah, but you can't. You not gonna talk to me any old kind of way. Like I remember, she wasn't even on my team anymore. When my name changed, she messaged me like, "Why your name different in the system now?" I said, "Because it's different." Like, who you talking to? So if that's something somebody could say, would be like, maybe they thought I showed favoritism, but if I just didn't like you, it was hard for me to fake it.
Why is it harder for Black people to assimilate to leadership, assimilate to a leadership position and maintain respect? This goes back to just reaching back for people just because they Black, and then you in a position where this person expects you to cut them slack or slide, or because you want to maintain a level of respect and not seem like a quote unquote Uncle Tom, company man, company woman.
But I think too, with that question, it made me think respect from both ends can be compromised, because the people who may be above you may not show the respect that they should be when they realize that. Let me just say, respect should be guaranteed regardless if the person can do the job or not. But it can be compromised.
I'm not to cut you off. Let's just say any job you have is great, but middle management is probably one of the worst places to be, when you manage people and you have people over you, because you get pulled in a way where it's like you got people on the left, people on the right, and it's like, damn, like I want to appease my team, my workers, and have everybody be happy, but you fucking people on my...
You know what's hard about that? And it's interesting you say that, because I remember this being like an interview question in one of my positions that I got. It's like when you have to notify or make your team aware of organizational changes that you may not agree with, but you have to kind of present yourself with that united front with the organization. So you won't want to go to... Because if you go to your team with a negative perspective, then they're going to perform poorly. Regardless of how you feel about it. It's like you said, you got these people telling you this what your team has to do, and you might not like it, but you have to still present it to your team because this is what they have to do. So it does put you in that position where it's like, let me suck it up.
Right.
You know, so you're right. Middle management it's a difficult role, and I think the way
you can make a living there, it could be a great job, but you got to acknowledge the fact that I got the people that I'm responsible for, and then
the people that I report to.
Exactly.
I think the way that you make the best of it is just standing firm on your values, speaking your mind, but speaking your mind with something to say.
Right.
One of the things that I always stand firm on, if I don't like something and I'm going to present my opinion, I need to have an alternative solution. If somebody says, oh, we need to do something this way, and I don't think that's the best way, okay, then when I tell them that, I need to give my opinion. Okay, I don't think we should do it this way because of this, but I think this is a better option. They may not go with my option, but just to tell somebody you don't like something, it still needs to get done. So if you don't like it, how do you think we should do it?
Right.
So that's one of those.
Don't just be negative. Like, here's what I think is a problem, and here's what I think is a solution. Like you said, you don't have to go with it.
And I think so many people get frustrated because they don't speak their mind. So for years, you're dealing with things that you don't think are great ideas. You're never speaking your mind. When you speak your mind, also, what I have learned is it makes people want you to be part of the conversation. Yeah. Conversations that are probably above your grade, your pay level, above where you should be. Sometimes, I'm invited to meetings and I'm like, did y'all invite the right Natasha? And they're like, well, we know you have this insight and we want your perspective, because they know I'm going to speak my mind. They know I have something to say. So I think a lot of people find
intellect
themselves...
breeds intellect. Like, you just speaking about something that... a different perspective that I'm not thinking can make me think of something else. Smart people think like that.
And so back to your question about the lack of respect, unfortunately, sometimes we as Black people, and this happens to white people too, let's not get it twisted, because a lot of white people are in positions because of nepotism and then just because of tenure. They started at 18 and they've been in these companies for 40 years. But sometimes, unfortunately, us as Black people, when we're put in these positions, we have a bigger scope on us. They're watching us. They want to know, one, how did you get this job? What do you know? Do you know what you're doing? How do you know all of this? Right. And then you have, unfortunately, the people who may report to you, if they're Black, white, or whatever, they're also looking like, oh, this is my supervisor. Like, you got to prove yourself. I remember... You
need them to work for you. That's how I feel about my guys. Like, you need them to work for you, so you got to be firm, but not an asshole.
But at the same time, like, I remember going into teams and, like, everybody kind of side-eyeing you. And then after 30 days, you kind of feel that the vibe is changing, because it's like they're testing you. They want to see, like, do you belong here? Not that they can do anything about it, but if you don't, for lack of better words, prove yourself, that's where the respect doesn't come in.
And that's probably any profession where if you go in, you eyeing your boss or your supervisor because you want them to know what they're doing.
But unfortunately, I think we're harder on each other.
Of course we are. Because of that conditioning and that mentality of, oh, you the supervisor? I can do that. Like, I want that position. So, I don't want you to win like that. And it's fucked up that we condition and think like that, but... I can acknowledge that I've seen enough of it that it's like, damn, like, what the hell's wrong with people? Are women harder to work for than men?
I think so.
Me personally, I've never worked. Well, go ahead. I have. Go ahead.
You have?
Yeah, like
because you may not have direct people that you report to, but you work with project managers.
Yeah, and I work with a project manager who was the head of a construction. She worked for a real estate company, and she was the head of construction. And because she was in a male-dominated industry,
the Lion Lady.
I'm just gonna call her Miss Lion.
Yeah,
all right.
I know you're talking about.
She was a man in high heels, like nice lady outside of work, but on a construction site, she was a
vulgar,
a menace. Like, she would say anything out her mouth to the men that she gave contracts to, that she knew your company wants this $1 million job, and she would come in there and people would almost like get the work straightened up, like the person signing a check was coming in, and she would come in to the point where she would like catch guys off guard, like smack them on the ass, ask them how's it hanging, like just stuff that you would think if I did, like I would be in
this
jail.
Me Too era?
Yeah, like I would be in jail. Or if you did in her profession, in a corporate world with people at the water fountain and you tap an ass, I'm like, how's it hanging? Like, that ain't gonna fly. Yeah. But in the construction world, coming from a female, men were like terrified of this lady. Probably
terrified because, one, if you give in to her advances, is it going to put your job in jeopardy? Two, but wanting to like keep that distance because you never knew how far she would take it.
But I think the fear and the tension on the job site was because of embarrassment. I don't think people were scared that she's going to take it the wrong way because she didn't carry it like that. She carried it like, you know, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm talking just like y'all talk. But people just were in fear of embarrassment of what she would say. Like almost like she had tape on people or something, or knew everybody and had like Polaroids in a box or something of everybody. But people were petrified of this lady, Miss Lyon.
You know, I've had...
And I've never worked for a woman other than her.
Yeah.
Or worked with a woman.
I've had experiences working with men, and I'm just going through like the Rolodex in my mind. Except for one, all of them have been great experiences. I think I can remember 5 different men that I work for. Great experiences. Some of the best leaders that I've had. I work for women who have been great. Some have just been so-so. And some have been horrible. So in that case, and they've been black. I have not worked for... I worked for one white woman. I had one white woman who was a leader, and she was great. So I don't even have anything negative to say about her. The negative experiences that I've had, unfortunately, have been with black women. And, you know, I have had to take a step back myself in some situations to kind of think like, is it me?
About what?
Like the negative situation that I had with a black woman who was my boss. And I come to the conclusion it wasn't me, but I did want to kind of evaluate myself because it's sad that you have to look at it like that way. Like, why is it a black... Now, again, I don't want that... Don't do me no favors just because I'm a black woman. But at the same time, like, there's a commercial that plays that talks about that sister girl network that we always will have in America. And it has proven to me to be true. Like, there are some women that I don't even know, but because we may have had to work together, or I had to ask them a question, or they had to ask me a question. It's kind of like that secret handshake thing through the computer. Like, we're going to help each other out. But again, it has to be earned, not just because you're a black woman. Mm-hmm. If you're a black woman and you're not doing your job and you're making it hard for me, now I'm not going to ever throw anybody under the bus. I don't believe in calling HR on people unless it's 1,000% necessary, because that's like calling the cops.
What's necessary? If you have a person on your team that calls out every Monday, that goes in the bathroom for 45 minutes.
No, I'm talking about an issue that I'm having with somebody, not a leadership issue with like my team.
Okay.
Yeah, a situation like that, you writing the story for yourself. I don't have to call HR. We gonna have this conversation together, and the chips gonna fall where they may if they need to fall.
So what's it take for you to go to HR if you have an issue with somebody that's not a leadership problem?
I mean, if I'm having a problem with like a leader or somebody putting I don't mean with my team. Like, if I have a leader, like, I'm gonna address it, and I may.
What if it doesn't get better? What if that person's in a position like there's not too many people you can go to fix it, or like you just kind of stuck?
Well, I was in that situation, and I was on my way to find a different job, but luckily God came through. You know, and I think I might have told y'all this story before. This lady was crazy. I actually...
Without getting into the whole story, but I'm just saying.
No, I'm just...
Why does it have to be like when we see shit on TV and we see like a neighbor get into it with somebody, they end up moving? You ended up wanting a new job. Like, is there anything in between them treating you wrong and you leaving or wanting to be somewhere else? Like, is there anything in between there where you kept your job and they were dealt with?
Unfortunately, like you said, in corporate America, when it's not something that is tangible, that like, this person ain't hitting me,
right?
They're not like stepping on my foot every time they walk by. They're not calling me names. So it like when you're going to, you know, HR to say, look, these are the discrepancies we having. They lying, they not telling the truth, they're making up stories. Then you know, it kind of becomes like, and that's another thing too. Unfortunately, as black women, it's like, oh, is this just like black women being bitches? Or they just being catty? So you gotta kind of when again CYA, start having things documented. Conversations documented. Okay, per our conversation today, whether you're saying, I didn't like the conversation, or I didn't like the direction, whatever it is, and it's just unfortunate that you got to go through those steps, and that's where it gets to the point where it's like, nah, I'm just looking for another job.
It is crazy because if you're a supervisor in the corporate world and you have a team of 6 people, and you have a girl or guy who comes in 45 minutes late, and you said, try to, get on your time, don't be tardy, and they came to work 45 minutes late the next day, and you was like, damn, I thought I asked you to, straighten this out, and they said, get the fuck out of here with that shit. Why can't you fire them?
Well, I can't, but that's different. That's like I said, something tangible. Them straight out using profanity
what's tangible about? But hold on, let me finish. What's tangible about that? If they said that to you, isn't that the same as going in HR saying, he said this to me, and him saying, I didn't say that? It's like he say, she say. So where is it tangible, hard evidence that you can fire that person for them saying, get the fuck out of my face with that?
And
nobody heard it but you and them.
Well, I mean, in that situation, they made...
Like, so if you went up to him and was like, yo...
If it's purely a situation where it's your word against theirs, then it may, depending on the circumstances, as they may believe what you said, if it's like, okay, this supervisor wouldn't have a reason to lie, or maybe a situation where they decide to maybe place that person on a different team if there's some conflict there. So that can go different ways. But if it's like, when I say tangible, like they say something like that and other people have heard them, and you can go to HR and say this happened. Now, if you say...
people don't want to be involved? What if people be like, I didn't hear it, I ain't got nothing to do with that?
This ain't the streets. People will be involved. Okay.
Well, I don't know. It's the corporate world. I don't know.
People will be involved. And they may say they don't want their name documented.
But somebody will answer, yes, I did heard him say that.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
That's so fucked up. So what's been your experience working for Black people? Good, bad, indifferent?
I will say it has been more good than bad. There have been some negative experiences from both reporting up and those reporting up to me. I think it's unfortunate that stereotype comes along with us, but I think that we can help improve it, again, if we reach back. If you have team members who have the ability to do better, have those real conversations with them to help them grow, or be the example of a leader so that maybe in the future they can do better. Because I think that's what really defines a great leader, not just being a boss and telling people what to do, building new leaders. I love when I have like team members who get promotions, or I'm have moved on to a different position, and now this person is a supervisor of a different team. I be feeling like that's my child that done graduated. Like, I helped you do that. Like, I love to see that. In terms of leaders, I think like people who I have reported to, I think finding those people that you can trust, and I don't mean trust on a personal level, trust on a professional level. Seek out mentors, people you can ask questions and look to for guidance, and just kind of build that network. So I think my experience has been more positive than good. Unfortunately, the negative experiences I have had have been with people that look like me, but it has been more positive than bad.
I don't have any experiences, but I hope that and I've gotten feedback from people. I actually work with somebody who I taught, majority of the things that he knows, and I would, if he was to go back to, because he's capable of running jobs, and if he was to go back to that, I wouldn't hold him back from that, although he's my partner now. But reaching back for people in my profession is hard, because I don't think people know what it feels like to have a $3 million, $1 million project in front of you. You got 6 people or 4 people to do it, and you got 6 weeks or 8 weeks to get it done. And I don't think that the people understand the pressure, and you can't be but so patient, and you can't reach back for people that that don't have a certain skill set, or the skill set isn't to a certain level. So it's hard to reach back, and construction, it conditions you to like you'll be exposed if you reach back for the wrong person. And a lot of times you don't want to vouch for bad people. Like, that's just my thing. Like, I have too much to lose, too much of a reputation, and the jobs I do are too important to me to have a person that kind of, puts conflict in my day. Like, I don't have the patience for trying to show you this and show you this, or break you out of bad habits, or tell you why you ain't supposed to do shit. Like, if you come to me, like, be at a certain level. And I don't know whether that's right or wrong, but that's what construction has conditioned me to be like when it comes to reaching back for somebody. Like, I can tell in my profession who knows what they're doing, who doesn't. So it's not like you can tell me, oh, this is some guy I got to teach. And it's like, nah, I can tell by his body language, the way he uses tools, that it's too much of a gap.
Yeah. Well, you're right. Vouching for somebody who you shouldn't, it puts your integrity in question. So you can't.
I never want to do that. And and to be honest with you, it's kind of scary. It's like a scared feeling. Like I'm not trying to hold you back, and I hope that things work out for you. But if I gotta vouch for you, I don't know if you're gonna get the job. Like, I just don't know, because you could fuck up something, and I don't want to take that chance on my name because I care a lot. That's the only reason. Not because I want to hold you back, or not because I don't care, but because I care a lot about what I've put forward.
And people have to have not just the skill, but the will to do the job. You can know a whole lot, but if you don't have the will to really work, or you can know a little bit but have a whole lot of will to grow and get better. I'm willing to take on that responsibility of helping people grow. But the first chance that you show me, or like you give some pushback, I'm not investing my time and energy if this ain't what you really want to do. Like, I'm grateful for my job, but I'm not, like you said, I'm not going to put my integrity in jeopardy to help somebody or to vouch for somebody when I ain't sure about you because you ain't sure about you.
Yeah, I can't do it. That's a strong word, to vouch for somebody. I seen that shit go left so many times. Like, oh yeah, this person's good, or I vouch for him, and you shouldn't have did that. Like, that's not good. Good things, not so much bad things, but good things about black folks. The Golden Globes. Angela Bassett, Quinta Brunson, Zendaya, Tyler
Philly.
James Williams, all won Golden Globe, so shout out to them.
We
shout
need
out
our
to them.
horns. Woo, woo.
And Abbott Elementary, that show you like won best television series.
And it's about Philly. I can't believe you haven't watched it. Quinta Brunson, she's the creator from Philly. Shout out to her. Yes, that's awesome.
Evan Peters also won a Golden Globe.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, you know who he is. He's Dahmer.
Oh,
yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
He played a good, He might not ever be able to get a job again because people are always going to say he's Dahmer. He's going to have to dye his hair.
Yeah.
And look completely different.
What have you learned?
So I was doing some research, right? And New York State is one of those states with these, and this may not be new information for other people.
Yeah, it's not. It's the most strict.
Most strict gun laws. One of the most strict. And for those people who may not know, gun laws that may be applicable in New Jersey, Delaware, PA, do not apply in New York. Like, you could be traveling, let's just say from New Jersey to Connecticut, and you want to take your firearm, not to hurt anybody, just maybe for protection. You might have a license to carry, a license to carry a concealed weapon, or you may not have a license to carry and you separate. You put the gun in your glove compartment, maybe the clip in your trunk. And if you're traveling through the state of New York and are stopped,
it's
no matter what reason you have, it could be a great reason. Now, not to say all cops are going to give you a hard time, but they rightfully can, because
they will. They will. I think the mandatory minimum is 3 to 5.
I'm just saying, not all cops.
If you got a gun, you're going to jail.
Every cop. That's all I'm saying. We
If
can't.
you get pulled over with a gun in New York, I think every cop will take you to jail. That's
Okay.
how stringent those laws is in New York.
Okay.
And this is documented. Like,
I would like to think that there's one cop that you can be like, look, I'm sorry, I really didn't know. I'm going to Connecticut. I'm getting out y'all state. I will find a way home without even coming back through y'all state. Now, maybe they won't, but Jesus, that's so sad and crazy. And that was another thing I read. Even if your reason is ignorance, like you just truly, absolutely didn't know, doesn't matter.
so why the fuck you think it's gonna be a cop when they have a loophole that says
no? I'm just saying
ignorance
that's
isn't
the law. I mean, there are some cops that turn their eyes to stuff like, but I mean, to your point, they may not. Everybody may take you down, but the law states that that's not a reason to allow you to be exempt from it, which makes sense because everybody would just claim ignorance.
Yeah, and the cop know that's an arrest for him, a felony on a jacket he got, and a gun off the street, they're not letting you go get your ass out.
But that's a shame, like a gun off the street. If it's a legal gun, why are you? Every gun doesn't need to be taken off the street, but I get it. Yeah. Nevertheless, that is what I learned. That's that. And just to let y'all know, next time y'all see me, I will be a year older. Beyonce, did you learn anything this week? Okay, she'll tell us later.
Okay. I've learned that I've tapped into a different, and I don't want to stay on this too long, but I've tapped into a different pain. And I don't know what the expectation of dealing with it is or how it will resolve itself, but it's something new that I'm learning about myself, and it's a new feeling that I've never had. Not that it's a good feeling, because it's not, but I've tapped into a certain level of pain that I've never experienced in my life. So that's something that I learned. 3 grams. Fuck that up.
You sacrificed the notebook for the joint.
3 grams. The tank fight. Tank whipped that ass again.
That was a great fight. I wish we was there.
Well, I don't. Not with the melee starting.
Well, that was small, and we possibly wouldn't have been in that section. But a melee started when we was at the fight that we went to. They was fighting there too. We see a big guy get knocked down the steps.
Yeah, the last tank fight they fought at the bar.
They didn't stop the fight for it, but they fought.
The tank fight, Meek Mill got into some shit. Meek Mill was in Ghana, got his phone took. Meek Mill did a video shoot at the Jubilee House in Ghana, where a lot of people said that's disrespect. Do some people feel like Meek Mill becoming that friend, like when you say like who over there, and you be like Meek over here, you're like, nah, I ain't going.
Wait, so I missed the piece about what's the Jubilee House?
The Jubilee House is like the White House of Ghana. They don't let Ghanaians perform or do secular stuff inside the Jubilee House. It's the White House to them. Or their version of the White House, and it's a pulpit for the minister of, or whoever the head guy is over there. That's where he holds his sermons, and that's where they do all the government business at. And Meek Mill shot a video in there. And
with their permission?
He said he had their permission,
okay,
but he didn't know. I don't think, it's all in wording. Like, I'm going to take a picture, and then you filming little shots so you can put together in a documentary or a video. And being in there dressed in basketball shorts and a t-shirt. What are they again?
Ghanaians.
All the Ghanaians was like, that's flat out disrespect. Like, that's not nothing you can do in your own White House. Why do you think you can come here and do something like that?
Well, you can. It's just not appropriate. But
how would we get close to the White House to do a fucking video shoot in there with Joe Biden?
No, I'm saying if they allowed him in it, like if he got permission just like he did there.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to attribute this to ignorance, meaning he just wasn't aware, which I think goes back to just having a better camp around you. Having your friends with you who are loyal, stand by you, stand by business. That's all well and good. I don't know like who his PR people are, if he's managing this kind of stuff himself.
Rock Nation.
That's his, is that his PR too?
That's all in one. That's his management, his PR, everybody.
Okay, but so was this something, I mean, so okay, because whatever his reason was that he went there, was it music related or was it his reform related?
It was a festival thing that he went there, had a performance there, and just was around. So I think he went to meet some people and some dignitaries and things like that.
I blame it also on his management and PR team, because they should have done their due diligence to say, okay, this is going to be your itinerary. This is where you're going. This is the statutes of this particular location, these people, like
this venue.
This is who you're visiting. This is what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, because it's a different culture.
Right.
And he may just not have known. I would not think, and I want to extend some grace, that if he knew, he would have just disregarded it.
Yeah, he issued an apology, and I'm not shitting on Meek, because him and Kevin Hart just gave the schools in Philadelphia $7 million.
That's amazing.
So that shouts out to both of them. So that's just like dope shit. But,
and as he's growing up, I just hope that he has a better team around him, and better team even as far as Rock Nation.
And you can't be at boxing matches fighting fighters. Like that's just not.
I think that when it comes into play, I don't know if he drinks or whatever.
Yeah,
but
he actually said that in his apology. I had a couple shots and I let the best of me, some words get out my mouth that shouldn't have happened. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think, and it's all about growing up too. Who your people talking to you? Go out, have fun. Maybe not have some drinks. If you get a little loose in the lips when you get the goose in you or whatever the heck people drink nowadays, then when you at these kind of events, chill. Because like you always tell me, wherever there's men, there's always a low level of violence. Mm-hmm. The last thing you need is alcohol being the flame to that fire to, ignite things.
And they just talking about sports, but going back and forth about what they're seeing. Somebody can say something slick that somebody don't like, and now it's up.
What I will say, I don't know if you got this in your 3 grams. Okay, let's see.
Second gram, Damar Hamlin, it was discharged from the hospital, and it's out, and it's walking and talking and all that good stuff that that God lets us do. He is on IR, done for football for the year, and we'll see how it goes next year. But out the hospital. That's great.
What I did read is that whatever his contract was, there was some kind of provision in it where like he would get paid this money, but if he went on IR, he wouldn't. Yeah. But they worked out some kind of agreement where he will. So that's awesome.
Yeah, give him his full $3 million. If he went on IR, he would have got like a 1.2.
Yeah. Or
something like that. So yeah, the NFLPA, that's what the union's for. They stepped up and got him his money.
I saw a clip, and I want to talk to you about it. Maybe we can talk about it a different time, because I know we talked about the NFL last episode. But it was this guy, have no clue who he is. He was just talking a lot of information about the NFL. I want to get your perspective on it.
I think something is going to happen in the near future that's tragic. And I don't mean to be cynical about shit, but all planes was grounded today. Like all flights in America was stopped. And I think that the government or FAA, and I don't know, they kind of do shit like that just to see like the, what do you call it? The response to like the timeline about some shit, but just to shut down every plane in America.
So this is what happened.
A power outage or some shit, or
they said there was a
glitch.
System glitch, right? But. And I don't get into the whole conspiracy theory thing, but I do know this as a fact.
But that's what I was getting into.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Conspiracy. That I'm just saying. That's how I look at it.
Well,
like this
but I
shit
think
was
it's
on purpose.
But no, I think it was bigger than that. I do know this for a fact from the industry that I work in, that when there are breaches, security breaches, so let's say, Target releases a statement, or Home Depot saying, oh, our systems were breached, and they contact, people who have used their cards because your information may have been exposed. Anytime you hear about those stories, That happened like 6 months ago. They're just now, they have to do what's called an RCA, a root cause analysis, to get all the details together, figure out who was impacted by it so that they can notify the appropriate population, because everybody may not need to be notified. So they have to do all of their fact finding before they let the world know or the people know. I think this is indicative that, this is scary as hell, that the FAA got hacked. I think because this is the thing. So a couple days or a couple weeks ago, you remember it was all that confusion and conflict with Southwest Airlines.
Mm-hmm.
We know Southwest Airlines being a lower budget airline, systems are probably, which they said that was a result of their systems needing a major update. They were old. How do you have systems that control airplanes flying in the sky with bodies on them requiring updates and being old? So they're old, they're not updated, leaving them susceptible to hackers. And so I think Southwest Airlines, they kind of tested the waters and they breached their system. That's why Southwest Airlines had all of those problems and they were up and running. And then I think the hackers said, let's go. And they hacked this entire system. And when the FAA caught wind of it, that's why they had to ground all planes until they put their security analysts in play, the people on the black web, to say, whatever y'all got to do, find out who this is, shut it down, get them out of our system. Because there's no way in the world you can tell me, the FAA, this is now not just Southwest Airlines, but that the FAA is allowing their system to be so old that they even said that the system was old so that if one thing glitches, it knocks out the whole system. How? When you got planes in the air and that you need to make sure that they don't crash. So that's my theory. Like you said, I think their system got hacked. I think that they will never tell us that. I think in some of these White House correspondence that's classified times 10 years from now, somebody's going to release that. Remember in 2023, January, that when all, like you said, all the planes got grounded, something is going to come out that's going to let us know, like, it could have been a tragedy.
It's the last time that I ever remember that happening. It had to be 9/11.
When they grounded all planes.
Yeah, but I've never heard nothing like that on the news except for 9/11, that all planes in America were grounded. It's like, how the fuck can you do that?
And when you read the story, or the story that I read, it was written so politically correct and careful. Like, you know, they're still in their fact-finding stage to identify the source of the... Y'all grounded every single airplane. Y'all fact finding. So whatever glitch, you would think if something glitched in the FAA system, that it would be like one of them big red lights that would start flashing. I think their system got hacked and they just ain't telling us.
That was deep. That was way further than what I was thinking. But that's deep.
Yeah, I think China agree. Or Russia got them.
Because I've never, I don't yeah, how do you, it's 2023. How do you have a system that can that malfunction when a plane's got 90,000 moving parts? Like, how do you just have something where one thing goes wrong and it's fucked up? Like, it's fucked up.
But, and now let's not forget, we seen the documentary about the 737 MAX planes and the stuff that they let slide with that. They're never going to release the information to us. You know how many people would stop flying if they knew that the FAA was hacked? Yeah. Like, y'all are supposed to make sure planes don't fall.
Yeah, who hacked it? More terrorists? If you're going to be up there, they're going to cut the fucking computers off when you're up there, the engines off? Like, who's in the system? That's supposed to be a firewall that's like government protected. Like, I don't know. You're supposed to have the top hackers in the world on your side to protect that kind of shit.
And you got to think about this, right? The FAA. So first it happened with Southwest Airlines, which I think was the test dummy. You got all these different airlines. Why would the FAA have to shut down every domestic flight in the country for a simple computer glitch? So you would think whatever is happening on the East Coast shouldn't affect the West Coast. Like the air traffic controllers on the East Coast ain't looking at planes on the West Coast, or ain't looking at planes in this. Like, there's different air traffic control centers. So for their entire system to be out, it was bigger than a glitch.
I knew something was up with that. One thing I do, and this is not a fourth gram, but one thing I do want to touch on is Dana White, the president of the UFC, slapped his wife a week ago on New Year's Eve in Cabos, and nobody's talking about this, and I just don't understand. Like, I do understand the disparity in reporting black people who get in domestic violence situations and white people who get in domestic violence situations. But already he is, obviously it's on video, said sorry and all that stuff and is moving on, but not as nearly as much publicity and coverage as a black
Ray
guy.
Rice.
Yeah, a Ray Rice.
Which was warranted.
A Chris Brown. A Bobby Brown, anybody you name, like anybody that is caught doing something shit like that is thrown under the bus, dragged through the mud, and he wasn't. That shit's on video.
Can I tell you what it reminded me of when I seen his apology? That I said, "Wow." We know the Karens of the world. They'll get on TV and cry about a situation when they do something wrong and they're caught because they want the sympathy. The Kens of the world, who are the male Karens, they have this thing they do that's just like very dismissive. Like, I'm apologizing for it. My family's dealing with it. I don't want to talk about it. We're moving on. And it's like, that's just supposed to be it.
Yeah.
Like, they just look at it with just this dismissive tone that's like, all right, I'm apologizing now. It's none of your business. Keep it moving. Nothing
and
to
it's
see
almost
here.
like you're couching it when you say, like, this happened on New Year's Eve.
We're good now.
We're good now. Me and my wife been together 31 years. It's the first time this has happened. We're good though, but I'm sorry about what everybody saw. I feel bad, and me and her apologize. Like, it's just like, damn, like, where's the outrage for a dude slapping his wife on camera?
But you know what?
And when you read the comments, it's crazy because. And I can't tell who's men, who's women by the names that people have.
Right.
And who the fuck knows. But so many people are like, well, she hit him first. What's up with this double standard? Why does she get to hit him and he don't get to hit her back? Like, and I guess you can tell by the verbiage in the comments that it's guys, because it's like, how the fuck do all these women get to hit us and you can't defend yourself? And it's like that kind of shit. It's like, man, I can't believe how many people took that approach. Like, am I missing something here? She hit him first. And it's like, damn, like, that's what everybody on?
Well, let me revert back to your first, Graham, to give a shout out to a strong black man who is protective of his wife. I love the video of Steven Jackson at the fight where he shut it down. Yeah. I was like, that's exactly how my husband would be. He told her, sit down. We ain't moving nowhere. Yep. We ain't moving. These seats, I paid for these seats. We ain't moving nowhere. But and the sad part about it was he showed a picture where she had this big bruise on her leg, and he was like, this is why I was acting the way I was acting. Because these supposed to be men, but who are boys, y'all just get up to like bum rush a situation where nobody even ended up fighting without having any regard for the fact that there are women present. But seeing a man stand up for their woman like that, shout out to you, Stat. That was dope. Because I know my man will hold it down like that too.
That's it for the grams. Act 2 the podcast, episode 105. Act2thepodcast.com. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Radio Public, TikTok, Breaker, Spotify. Spotify. That's where you can catch us at.
Beyonce, did you get all that?
Act 2 the podcast, episode 105. It's your boy, International Walt.
It's your girl, Tosh. And Beyonce.
If you fuck with us, you fuck with us. If you don't, you should. Peace.